we're just starting. How you doing, Sir Paul?
Doing well, John. How are you tonight?
Doing great, doing great. And then I got Sir Blondie down here. You can't see that, Sir Mr. Paul, but you're watching on stream. He's hanging out there with us.
You're right. I cannot see him on the channel.
Oh.
Oh no, I can indeed. Actually, once I clicked over to a different view. Hello, Mr. Sparky.
That's Blondie. And then I got to get our two best viewers online.
That's right. Two most loyal fans.
Oh, whatever. Fuck it. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So tonight, you wanted a prompt workout. Get right to it.
Yeah.
Let me show you.
Oh, that's right. You're
the title.
Let me show you. Yeah, that is quite clever, John.
Oh, it's as clever as
and damn nerdy. But that's all, and that's also quite clever. Very good.
Very nerdy as well.
So something interesting has been occurring. I've been noticing among the fitness, especially fitness influencer community, right? Which is productivity. As far as so you have a fitness influencer or you have a personal trainer, and it seems like their capability for output has just become massive. Right? Like, hey, book a session and, I'll get you going. Or they are all of a sudden really well informed about the best way to do whatever exercise or whatever. And that's not shitting on anybody. That's not shitting on anybody educating themselves or using whatever tools at their disposal. But it is not necessarily gatekept, but there is this almost reluctance or agreement to not talk about how much AI comes into play with the productivity aspect of all of that.
Well, it's interesting you bring it up from a productivity angle. And where I see a lot of this is, sure, with like video editing and content creator-ishness that we attempt. There's a lot of LLM and AI agent conversations or investigation, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other aspect I see a lot of times is people searching and going into various Reddits saying, how does this workout look? Is this a good workout? And they've put something into ChatGPT or whatever their flavor of choice of LLM is. And a lot of times it gets skewered and rightfully so. And unfortunately, some of it comes off as people attacking the person and not so much focused on the product or the poor workout. But like, we all have limited time, we all have limited resources, whether it's time or money, mental bandwidth. And so, a lot of times I can see people looking, and I even look at it, right? We look at a workout as a recipe.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And not a product.
Great way to say that, yeah.
It's like, yeah, we want a cake, but we know we need a recipe to make the cake. And so we just want the flour, right? All I need is some flour to make this cake, right? We don't realize that maybe you need to sift the flour, or maybe that you need a certain type of flour, or maybe that you don't want self-rising flour, you need an all-purpose flour, or little details of that nature. So a lot of times, again, I see a lot of that happening is people kind of lambasting each other over why don't you just do it this way? Why don't you just spend the money on this proven formula or this proven workout system? I don't know where everybody is in their life. Maybe you don't have access to a barbell set, so you can't do starting strength. Maybe you don't have access to a gym or something. You just have 30 minutes a day, and conventional strength training or 5x5 training just isn't really feasible for you. Maybe you got a gimp leg or arm, or something just isn't functioning right for you, and you've got to kind of peel back, but you still feel you can do something, and you know you need to do something, but what?
Or maybe something like your prosthetic hasn't been properly fitted yet.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
maybe there's something like you don't want to. So the thing about program, let's just get at that first, right?
Mm-hmm.
The reason why that stuff is so vaunted, right? Like, why don't you choose this program? It works. Like it helps. It has helped thousands of people.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that not most of, but the large majority of the population, not the majority of the population, but the large majority of the population that is interested in improving their fitness and or mobility is either going to fit into this like band, right, where a lot of them reside, which is that they are going to be capable of performing that program, or they are going to be willing to perform that program, or both.
Mm-hmm.
Now, capable of performing the program is different than willing to perform the program, because I might be willing to do whatever exercise even if I can't do it properly.
I mean,
You see
it
a
makes
lot
me
of
think
it.
about high school. It's like, I might be willing to catch that football. I am not capable of running fast enough and catching that football.
That's right. Or, like, I'm willing to do that bench press, but I'm not able to do it properly. Anyone, I'm willing to run that mile in under this many minutes, but that doesn't mean I'm going to be in a good spot when I'm done.
Yeah.
Now, the problem with that is that most workout programs that you're going to get that are generic, right? Like, you go to some person's website and they have a workout program that's a good one. Sure, I'll take anything away from it. Like, the split is good. The recommendations for cardio versus weight training versus mobility versus elasticity and all of that is really well done. And again, applies to that large band of the population that is either able or willing or both.
Mm-hmm.
But that program assumes what every single machine in the gym has to assume, is that everybody who does it is balanced. Right? Like you have no tendency toward compensation to put more effort into a stronger leg or a stronger arm or stronger side of your back or stronger part of your abs. And you have, and it will produce, therefore, no postural or movement deviation when you are holding or moving yourself or like some kind of external weight. The problem that exists there is that when you don't take those things into account, and hopefully if you have the finances and the time to be able to afford one, and you get a personal trainer, they are able to look at those things and go, oh, well, you know what, you have a tendency to do this. Let's get you. You have a tendency to shift over to your right whenever you're doing a squat and coming up. We're gonna lessen the weight, and we're gonna have you like by half. And then now, whenever you're coming up, I'm going to get you to put your effort into the left, right? Like,
Right.
visibly shift over this way. And there are all kinds of tools and all kinds of metrics that
And again,
that
there's
do that.
different, just like there's all kinds of different recipes and different methodologies of cooking dishes and what have you, right? It gets at the same thing of making a meal and keeping you filled, right? Exercise should do a similar thing. It's when we over depend one way too heavily, right? We're burning the dish. We're going to make the meal too salty or something of that nature.
That's
it
right.
reminds me of, I'm telling you before, we're trying to work on some videos to do some longer form videos on our YouTube channel. And one of the things that got me going was thinking about how my history of learning to squat.
Mm-hmm.
And I do recognize, like, I had for me, and I think this is really everyone to some degree, when we start moving weights and resistance training, is squatting it starts out as just this kind of like, I'm moving up and down. I'm moving from point A to point B. And if you're fortunate enough to have good coaching in that regards and movement and high school or, you know, that age, or maybe even college, if you had a weightlifting class that was really good about form and technique, you would have been really hammered and taught how to do these techniques into what you're saying, regressing weights so that way we can focus in. However, I feel mine was more of, again, just get your butt up and down, right? And then in college, it was the blind leading the blind, I feel. But then I did CrossFit, and I thought CrossFit, I was getting this kind of I knew it was semi-private. I understood it wasn't private, one-on-one stuff, but I had this sense of it being semi-private where, again, I'd be getting this direct one-on-one coaching versus me just by myself, left to my own dumbass devices and see how I could hurt myself or not. But I mean, and the thing for me at the time was more of the consistency, I think, because I had it in my head already that I knew how to squat, right? I played football, or I ran track. I worked out during college. You know, I get up and off the toilet just fine. So
that's right.
I didn't really think that there was anything wrong with my squat either until that my hip pain. But all that being said, like, there's all these little lessons I did pick up and learn. It's just they're always incomplete. Whether I wasn't paying attention readily enough because I was in my youths and being young and blissful and all that. And then I think there's this other piece, though, is there's this incompleteness. Like we have a lot of these cues and concepts that we try to communicate with each other. And it doesn't always get translated fully, or I think you've brought this up numerous times in other ways, is these, I got you. And we try to move the person on, or as a trainer or a client, you might just be trying to get to the next session, so to speak. So you don't have necessarily the time to get into the detailed minutia, what may be asked of here. And I think this is what happens with LLMs, right? Is they're either going to give you they're going to either go down one way and they're going to kind of freight train you over. And whether it answers your question or not, you're just going to kind of hold on and it's just going to go where you want it to go, where it's going to take you. Or it's going to slow you down to a snail's pace, hammering out every little semicolon, every little comma, every little pause and breath you had is going to come in and say, well, what about this?
That is the real kind of conundrum, the double-edged sword of it all, right? So back to the thing, associating that with you have someone who wants to improve their fitness, wants to improve their mobility or their elasticity, can't afford a personal trainer, who, if you find a qualified and good one, are really, there's really no replacing it. And if you know how to replace it, for instance, if you know how to get onto an AI and you know all the stuff to put in, all the stuff to ask for, chances are you are educated enough that you either were someone who's in the fitness industry or you are learning, plenty about fitness and exercise. But as far as the modeling of it goes, and as far as the individualized programming of it all goes, there's a huge explosion of all that available, right? And it seems like you have these people who have a lot of specialization, and because they may be educated on whatever degree of fitness or nutrition or wellness or mobility or whatever, it may seem like that kind of information is only available to you from them. It's kind of similar. The way that I like to look at it is it's similar to auto mechanics. A lot of people have cars, and a lot of people use those cars as an integral and indispensable part of their daily life. Ask any rideshare operator, right?
Yeah.
Which incidentally, I was traveling, I don't know, a year ago, and I remember I got in this one guy's car and I said, so how long have you been driving? He goes, well, I'm in between jobs right now. And I was like, I'm sorry? And he goes, yeah, I'm in between jobs right now. I said, oh, well, how long have you been driving? And he goes, about a year. And I go, so that's how long you've been and I said this, so that's how long you've been, as you put it, in between jobs. And he goes, yeah. And I go, well, how many hours a day do you drive? He goes, oh, anywhere from 9 to 12. I was like, and do you do it for free? He goes, no, I get paid. And I go, well, that sounds like a job.
Yeah.
Like, anyway, so
in between careers,
maybe, right? So there are plenty of people that own and operate and rely heavily on vehicles for either their transport to their job or as their means of income. I would be willing to wager that it is a fraction of those people that also know how to work on those cars, right?
It reminded me of my father-in-law. He ran a cabbie here in town, and he had his go-to mechanic that he trusted. But he did have a few, you learn a few things, right? Because again, you live and die by that thing. You at least learn how to check the oil or fill up the air and the tires. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean you're getting necessarily underneath it or busting out the lug wrench every 3,000 miles, right?
Yeah. So when you are meeting with someone whose knowledge is general about fitness or nutrition or elasticity or mobility or whatever, and you say, I have this specific problem, and they're like, no problem, I can help you. The incidence of people or the legions of people who are now able to do that are many. Mm-hmm. And it used to not be that many, right? You have only to go back and look at people who specialized in content creation and influencing before the rise of AI and how many specialists there were, right? And I'm not shitting on people using AI at all. I'm saying that the difference between the results that they get when they put in your information into an AI and say, these are my goals with this person, those are different results than the ones that an average person will get whenever they go in and enter into an AI. These are my goals.
Well, it's like those YouTube commercials I've been seeing lately is terrible AI ads. You're still using your Chat GPT for like a Google search bar. I will show you how to make millions.
Yes. So let's talk about some of the, one of the examples I like to give people is this. Let's say that you were a 25-year-old person and you say, you feel like you're really forward thinking. You go to the AI, you go to an AI prompt. You're like, I can't afford a personal trainer, but I want to get fit. So then you say to the AI, you open up a prompt and you say, hey, I'm a 25-year-old person. Can't afford a personal trainer. Please give me a workout program that's going to let me build strength or improve my cardio. And if that's your only prompt, it's going to spit out some information. It's quite likely that the information that it returns is going to be highly generalized, the same way that you might find on some fitness influencer's website whom you've never met. Plenty of people have coaches and stuff that they've never met. They all correspond through email, but I'm saying that like you've had no communication with this person. They have no idea what's going on with you. They just say, click here for my free 12-week program, or, sign up for my 12-week program. And you do. And it'll be quite likely, it'll be very similar to what an AI might spit out at you. And you go, oh, and so you look through these exercises and you go, oh, okay. And then you run off to what you're willing to do. Mm-hmm. Not what you're able, but what you're willing. Mm-hmm. Right. Then let's say that you encounter one of those exercises that hurt your back, hurt your hip, hurt your knee, hurt your ankle, shoulder, wrist, elbow, whatever, right? Strains your neck. So you go back to the AI and you say, well, this strains my neck. I did this one exercise and it strains my neck. And then it says, oh, we'll do these exercises instead. And that's all fine. But way back at the beginning, before you did the experimentation on yourself, what you didn't supply the AI with was something that your trainer quite likely would have if they were the ones talking to the AI. They would have interviewed you. Your trainer would have interviewed you. Go ahead.
Was it an assessment?
Right. You know, and a trainer will take you through an assessment and they'll go, all right, so any injuries or anything like that? And you go, oh, that's one of the questions that they will ask. You walked in there. That's been a part of your life, right? It doesn't seem like that's something that's, you know, my accident or my injury or whatever isn't important. What I want to do is work out.
Yeah.
But the trainer would go, okay, well, let's hear about it. Let's hear about, you know, what happened. And you go, oh, well, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, is like when I was working at the big box gym, it was basically, it was distilled down to about 5 questions, but it was, what are your goals? What have you done already to get there? How do you see me helping you? Aches, pains, and injuries. And then, something else in there, but I mean, but that effect though, right? I mean,
that's fantastic.
But those are huge.
If you just took those 4, right, and said put those into the AI, right? Which, let's take that big box gym that you worked at. I guarantee you that most of the personal trainers that are there, who are the least big tech savvy, when their clients come in, they're going to take them through that whole thing, and they're going to go, oh, okay. All right, well, we'll start tomorrow. I'll go home tonight and I'll work on all this for you.
Yeah. And
all they're going to do is plug that shit straight in. They might even do it on their tablet while they're talking to you, you know, like,
hell, I mean, back then, I mean, I worked with a guy and he called them his superhero workouts, but it was just his memory device. He just had pre-planned workouts that he would take people through, you know, just like a Rolodex of workouts in his mind. And so I think that's a lot of it what it was. Even then, it was, I remember there was no generic assessment they gave us. It was just, you know, close the deal. So a little bit of a different demon we're battling there. But
sure.
But the sense of you should have an ideal system when you're encountering something new, especially with your body that's you're going to potentially cause you damage or harm, is you want to know what your current boundaries are and where you're not. I mean, even in football in high school, right? You still had your 40-yard dash times. You still had certain drills you did at the beginning of the season just to kind of see where you were. Maybe over summer you grew, put on some weight, got stronger, got faster, maybe got slower, who knows? And so the coaches would move you around on the field or something based on your new stats, as it were. And you build off of that. I mean, it's no different for you. If you haven't lifted for a while, 6 months plus, you should really check and see what your mobility limits are before you just get under the bar or just get back into that old program, old trusty.
So let's take that like right there, you know, so you go to an AI and you say, well, Paul and John told me that I can just go to AI, and, you know, like, no, that's not what we're saying. We're saying that people do that, right? And trainers do that. Some really popular and really well-educated people have developed entire apps that are really just based around large language models that don't do anything that you can't do, and they use that, right? They put their expertise into it, but the prompting, when you go to an AI and you say something like, I haven't worked out yet. Give me a workout program. I'm 25 years old. Give me a workout program that's going to help me build strength. And that gives you the kind of response that we were talking about earlier. Or you say something like, give me a workout program that's going to help me build strength. I'm 25. I have pain in my shoulder and on my right shoulder. And then it's going to give you a certain type of program. But if you say something like, I'm 25, give me a workout strength training program. I have pain in my shoulder only when I lift my elbow above my shoulder in front of me, that's going to change the game altogether.
Right.
Now,
How do you can explain that to an LLM as well?
Right. So then there's the whole process about explaining that to an LLM, but then also telling it what you're expecting out of it. So if you're expecting it to ask questions so that it can clarify and really get some good information to give you a robust and as optimal as possible program, you need to empower it with the language included in your prompt that says, ask me clarifying questions.
Right.
Here are my here's what I want. Here's what I'm hoping you'll give me. Here are my limitations. And then this is how long it's been since I've touched a weight or run a mile or whatever. Right. Those are all really, really information heavy facts that you can supply an LLM with that allow it to go from this level of capability to this level of capability with regard to whatever information it's going to give you. And it's not something that you can glaze over, because all it's going to produce for you is a level of frustration. And you're going to feel like the AI is dumb, and you're correct, because while it has all of the available knowledge all over the internet, it's only going to go out and get
from a garden hose or a fire hydrant.
Right. It's only going to go out and get what you ask it for, or it's only going to go and ask you what you told it it's okay to ask.
Mm-hmm.
So just going and putting in a generic prompt, give me a cardio program, is going to yield you some generalized results.
Well, it's like the classic. It's the classic, right? Is garbage in is garbage out.
That's so. So the go ahead.
The stronger you can make the prompt, the more robust you can make the prompt, the more you can have a little back and forth with it, like you're saying, clarifying questions, right? Then you'll get a little closer to, again, it was at the end of it, it's AI, right? Like artificial intelligence. So you're going to be missing that human component right now. There's not going to be as much of that critical thinking involved. Like, it'll surprise you. Don't get me wrong. Like, it'll surprise you with some thoughts, but again, it's just out there catching fragments of other people's thoughts and combining them and giving it to you. And so just like I feel kind of like how from the first time I got under a squat bar, probably in 8th grade till today, like I have gotten these little bits and fragments over time that some of it's been good information when joined with other pieces of information. It's other pieces of information that, like, this doesn't make any fucking sense. And then I had to parse and figure out, where's the good and the bad. And then, well, this is what they really meant with this. And that's how that cue or this concept, like the knees over toes guy. If you follow him on YouTube, he's got the whole thing in film is like driving the knees over the toes, because there's such a hysteria, so to speak, of not letting your knees go over your toes at some point. And so now we have these little bits of information now that are kind of compelling. And so where do you get these sources? Well, your LLM's getting it from all of them.
Here's the other part where people really develop a lot of frustration with that. When you're working with a trainer, you can talk about corrections that you need the trainer to make, and the trainer will make those corrections. And if they can't or they won't, find a different one.
And then you'll make the correction for them, right?
Right. Then you'll make the ultimate correction, right? But if you
I had a client that used to make that noise when he'd get chatting too much, and I'd be like, all right, let's get this next rep, and he'd always go, all right, I get it.
That's got to be the most intimidating noise on the planet. That, and like you're out in the wilderness alone and you hear like a growl.
Oh, I was thinking a banjo.
I take it back, John. That is more scary, or scarier. No, so the deal with AI is you can have a great conversation with AI, like a back and forth, and it will be a really, really potentially a really enlightening conversation, because like we said, they're All of the world's available information is at its fingertips. However, what AI does not do well with is correcting itself.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever you say something like, give me a workout program, and it says, okay, and it does, and you go, well, this workout program hurts my shoulder. And it says, okay, and it makes these adjustments. You go, well, now this is hurting my knee, or you know, like you never told it about your accident.
Mm-hmm.
What AI will eventually start getting into this logic loop where it's eventually, if you correct it enough, not converse with it, but correct it. Like, you can do this way. Ask it to generate a picture of something. Describe anything you want, right? Like look at your favorite picture and describe that. Yeah, describe the Mona Lisa without mentioning the Mona Lisa. And AI will spit out a certain image. If you say, you know what, do this way, correct this and correct that and make this adjustment here, you'll get a different image that is not like the image that you asked for, that you arrived at. No matter how perfect you said the initial one was, there was just a slight correction, you will get a different image.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you pay for a service where you're like, this is a template and we're going to use this template. So, you know, blah, 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 blah. So there are these, the longer a course correcting conversation goes on, one where you're like, no, do this way. No, that's not right. Do it this way. No, that isn't right. Do this way. The more prone you are to get ripples in the logic that it gives back to you, and you start to get these like hallucinations for things, where eventually the behavior that you asked it for, it'll begin acting like it's supposed to expect that out of you. Like, for instance, I was having a conversation with an AI and I said, please execute these certain commands and don't do this thing. Like supply quotation marks or something, right, in your response. It was like, okay. And it gave me this response back, and I was like, okay. And I edited the response, and I was like, and this wasn't for anything.
Mm-hmm.
I was just curious about the conversation. So then I put it back in to the AI, and I said, like this, you know, what do you think about this revision? And please notice that I removed the quotations. It responded to me with, oh, it's good that you removed the quotations because that's what you said you didn't want. Like I'm the one that put them in there to begin with.
Yeah.
And it began to keep on telling me that these behaviors that I asked it for were ones that I was checking off boxes by not including, and like it didn't have any behavior. My reason for
you get a break in the logic loop somewhere, and
it starts hallucinating, right?
It's impossible. Like it almost feels like a ball of yarn untwining. Like someone just cut it in half, and it's just like everything's just falling apart in your hands. And the more you try to like wrap it tighter, it's just the shit keeps falling more and more apart. And I've had to where the whole thing just breaks on me. It's just it's not responsive or whatever. I just have to start a new instance.
Right there, that's the key to it all, right? When that starts happening, you have to start a new chat.
Mm-hmm.
The way that you get around that is by making as concise of an initial prompt as possible.
Right, so that's the fancy things on, if you look online, right, is the best prompt, or prompt engineering is the new career field even.
Yeah, as concise of a prompt as possible in order to create a thicker barrier between you and erroneous or hallucinating behavior on behalf of the AI. So when you're asking an AI to supply you a beginner's workout after you have, of course, gotten medically cleared to do so, when you're asking an AI to do that, the more generic your information, it's fine. The more generic its response will be. The more specific you get as time goes on, asking it to course correct, the further you will get away from what you want. It will start hallucinating. Mm-hmm. So it only makes sense for you to be able to evolve the conversation, not correct it. So you put in as robust of an initial prompt as possible, and then later on, after your really, really inclusive initial prompt, it gives you out the information, and you say, okay. Later on, you do the program. It's working for you. You come back and you go, all right, I don't want to do as much of this. I want to do more of this. I want to change it up, go into periodization, or I want to start working with working in hypertrophy or whatever, right? Whatever it is, and it will begin with a new angle to talk to you about, rather than trying to course correct its own logic.
Mm-hmm.
The reason we thought this was important to cover tonight is because we have been working on an AI prompt for someone, for anyone to use. It's free if you go to our website. Just enter in your email address, and you can get an email back from us that'll have it included in a PDF. It's a free AI prompt that is concise with the information that you need to provide to any AI in order to get the most comprehensive workout back from it that's possible. It cuts through the fluff. It enables you to communicate with the AI with a couple of like fill in the blank. You select a couple of items and fill in the appropriate information as it applies to you, and you can get back a personalized workout or mobility or whatever program tailored to you based on the information that you prompted the AI with. Like I said, it is free on our website, rangefitnessonline.com. If you have any questions about it, or once you get the prompt and you're like, oh, this really worked out for me, all right, but I have a question about this thing, feel free to drop us an email. We'll send you the email with the prompt. You can email us back and we can open up a discussion. If you have something you forgot to include in the prompt and it spits out the program, send us an email telling us about it. Copy paste what the program that it gave you was, and we'll look at it. We'll be happy to go over it with you and talk to you about it. It's free on our website, the homepage, rangefitnessonline.com. Check it out if you're interested. We'd love to be able to supply that to you.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's it for tonight, man. I gotta get moving.
That's it.
It's past 8, man. I'm an old
yes,
man.
it is. All right.
All right, Paul.
All right, Sir John. And thanks everybody. Chat to you later.
Y'all be well. Thanks y'all for being here. Have a good one.
All right. Bye-bye.